In 2016, a woman in Cahokia, Illinois, was taken to jail. Her crime was failing to mow her lawn. 3 years later, a man in Dundee, Florida, received a $30,000 fine from his city because his grass grew past 10 inches. This area chart compares the geographic footprint of American agriculture. Down here, you have our largest irrigated crops: corn, fruit orchards, wheat. But this massive bar dominating the graph is turf grass. We maintain over 40 million acres of it. Maintaining that specific plant costs Americans up to $60 billion every single year. Beyond the chemicals used, the required gas-powered machines are a major source of toxic air pollution. We dedicate more land, water, and capital to a crop we cannot eat than to the food that sustains us. We treat the lawn as a strict legal requirement, turning a basic landscaping chore into a heavily enforced, unsustainable ecological crisis. The manicured lawn originated in the late Middle Ages as a status symbol for French and English aristocrats. It was a flex of extreme wealth, proving the owner was rich enough to waste valuable arable land on a crop that did nothing but look nice. Over the centuries, that aristocratic aesthetic trickled down to the middle class. A neatly trimmed front yard became the ultimate metric of personal success, a highly visible psychological buffer that creates a barrier of strict order against the chaos of the natural world. Because the yard is an outward projection of stability, having a yellowing, weed-filled lawn feels like a public failure. The neighbors notice. HOAs send warning letters. That specific social anxiety makes well-intentioned homeowners desperate, and the lawn care industry knows exactly how to exploit that desperation. Predatory marketing sells the idea that growing grass is impossibly complex, requiring highly specific, expensive chemical cocktails, polymer-coated micronutrients, and constant intervention. The perceived complexity of lawn care is a manufactured myth. The industry relies on our psychological need for order to sell us solutions to problems we don't actually have. To stop wasting money, we have to strip away the social anxiety and look at the lawn for what it actually is. A highly resilient, you can dump $100 of premium fertilizer on your yard, but the grass literally cannot absorb it. The fix is a $35 soil test through a local university extension. It works exactly like a medical blood test, pinpointing your exact deficiencies in nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, the NPK numbers on every fertilizer bag. Once you know that baseline pH, you almost never need expensive micronutrient blends. Turf grass primarily craves simple nitrogen. It doesn't care if that nitrogen comes from a shiny $80 bag or a cheap agricultural byproduct like chicken manure. Relying on hard clinical soil data completely removes the guesswork. It stops the blind application of chemicals and immediately eliminates the biggest source of financial waste in the yard. That same guessing game happens with weed control. The standard homeowner tactic is to wait until the yard is covered in dandelions and crabgrass, then drown the entire property in toxic post-growth herbicides. Agronomists don't do that. They use pre-emergents. Instead of fighting adult plants, a pre-emergence establishes an invisible chemical barrier in the soil that neutralizes the seed's growth enzymes before they can ever germinate. This cross-section shows how the barrier operates on strict temperature dependencies, not the calendar. Summer annual weeds wait for a precise thermal trigger. You apply the barrier right before the soil temperature hits 55 degrees Fahrenheit. But that chemical barrier has a limited half-life. If your yard becomes severely waterlogged from poor drainage, the lack of oxygen accelerates the chemical degradation. The barrier dissolves, and thousands of dormant seeds immediately breach the surface. Keeping a lawn weed-free isn't about buying the most expensive poison. It requires reading the soil temperature and managing your watering schedule to keep the barrier intact. Even the physical act of mowing is widely misunderstood. Most homeowners use standard rotary mowers, which spin a horizontal blade at high speeds. At a microscopic level, a rotary blade shreds the plant's tissue. It violently tears the grass, leaving a jagged, unhealthy edge that turns brown, loses moisture rapidly, and invites fungal diseases right into the open wound. Golf course superintendents avoid this by using a reel mower. Instead of a spinning helicopter blade, a reel mower uses a cylindrical drum that traps the grass against a bed knife, slicing the plant as cleanly as a pair of sharp scissors. That mechanical precision is also the secret to professional striping. Turf grass naturally grows in the direction it is physically pushed. By using a mower with a heavy roller and repeatedly cutting in alternating directions, you train the grass to lay down at specific angles, catching the sunlight to create those vivid dark and light patterns. A fairway aesthetic is entirely mechanical. It comes from a clean, surgical cut and trained physical pressure, not from a magical fertilizer. The pristine, deep green fairways of Augusta National aren't the result of blank checks and blind labor. They are the result of respecting the plant. Treating your yard as a biological system rather than a neighborhood status contest breaks the cycle of psychological anxiety. You stop buying unnecessary chemical amendments, stop pouring nitrogen onto blocked roots, and stop shredding with dull metal. Scaled up across 40 million acres, that shift in perspective has massive ecological weight. It saves millions of gallons of wasted water, keeps toxic fertilizer runoff out of the local water table, and drastically cuts the carcinogenic emissions we established earlier. Americans can keep the psychological comfort of a perfectly manicured yard. We just have to abandon the manufactured war against nature, run a simple soil test, and let the biology do the work.